Hello everyone! In this video, we are going to take a comprehensive look of how you can host your own game for Luanti. First, let's take a very quick look on how you do it in different platforms. If you are on Windows, make sure you have luanti.exe. Then just open a terminal and just type luanti.exe --server. That will automatically pick a word if you have only a single word. But if you have many words, you can do --word and my word. And if you don't have any word but have many games, you can do --game, and then you can do something like mine, clone, something like that to create a new word for that game and host it. That is how you do it on Windows. If you are on Linux, it's very similar. Notice in this case, I have a folder called Luanti, and inside it, I have many files, and I have another folder called Luanti. This one contains the actual executable, and here I have already copied the games and the words inside. Which we will talk in more detail later. But to run it, just do --bin luantiserver, and that's pretty much it. If you have many servers, if you have many words, you can do word, my word. If you have many games, do --game, my game. So that's how you do it on Linux. If you are on Mac, it's a little bit different because when you are downloading from Mac, you can see that usually you pick this one, and that's the file you get. If you double click, you are already in the GUI, and you can just play it like on Windows or wherever. And then to actually host it, what you can do is go to the folder. In this case, we are inside the documents, and go to my Luanti. And then you can see we have this luanti.app. This is actually just like a folder. You can actually say it like this. So, you can actually say it like this. So you can cd into the luanti.app, and you can see it contains some other folders. You can cd into content, and it has some other stuff. You can cd into Mac OS, and you have now the Luanti executable. This is actually an executable, and it works just like on Windows or on Linux. So what you can do is just /luanti, and you can do a --server, and if you have only a single word, like in my case, it's going to automatically pick that, and as you can see, it is being served. So that is how you can do it on Mac. Now with all of that let's take a closer look of the overall stuff, and I'm going to show you the folder structure and how you can host it on both Linux and Windows. Before I start, I want to clarify something. So, especially when I introduce this to my friends, they will often ask a question: what's the difference between Minecraft and Luanti, right? So I will put it like this. So I have a few versions. I have a few copies of Minecraft, and I have played with different versions. And also, personally, I used to involve in the development of Minecraft and Minecraft Legend. So I say it's a very great game, very fun. If you just want to play it, if you just want to share it with your friends, it's actually very easy to also host your own Minecraft server. But if you want to customize content, if you want to really have the ownership, if you want to do lots of modding, if you want to program things freely without restriction, do not need to worry about downloading the latest version of Forge and all of those stuff, then I think nothing beats Luanti. It gives you absolute freedom. And also, there are some very nice features like extremely large world. I don't know how relevant this is to you, but if you are trying to, for instance, copy the whole city inside the voxel world, this one might be more useful than Minecraft's 512 height limit, right? So that is, in a nutshell, the main difference. And let's now talk about how you can actually use it and host it on Windows. If you are on Windows, what you will do, actually I was just doing this, so let me just delete this. You are going to download the Windows version like this. Okay, so I don't know what is this thing. Let me just try it again. You will download the Windows version, the portable version like this. After you download, you have this folder here. And let me just make it clean. And then if you extract it, you can see your folder. Inside it, you have the bin folder. That is your game. And when you first launch it, it's empty. It doesn't have anything. You can go to content and browse online content. This one, by the way, is equivalent to this guy, which contains all the cool stuff for Luanti. And here, there are a few default games you can use. One is called Voxel Neighbor, the other one is Minetest. I'm going to use Minetest because this one is much smaller to demonstrate. So I'm going to download that one. And notice what happens when you download that one. By default, you have only all those highlighted folders. When you download it, you are going to download something into this folder. That is all the game templates you have. So now we have a game. What you can do, you can go back, start a game. You can now create your own world. So I'm going to say create my world. and then you can pick a generator and then create it. So that is how you can create a world, you can play it. Now I'm not going to show that, but notice this is the first way you can share your world with your friend, by doing a host server. So this is just hosting a multiplayer version. This is not what we call a dedicated server, but you can still use this to share with your friends. So what you can do is just to, give it a name, some password, and then notice we are picking this port. This number itself doesn't really matter as long as it's something that is available and you remember it, because others need this to identify. This is like your street number, so others can identify where is this program parked. And then we say you can host a game, and then it's going to automatically create a server. And notice what happens here is creating the world folder, and we have my world here. Now we have the server. You can share the address with your friend for others to open it. To share it, I'm already opening it here. You can somehow right click on your network settings and then click on properties, and then you can find your IPv4 address. That is the address, kind of like which city you are in. And then within that address, you have your street number, which is a port. So now the others can join it. So to join it, others can just launch their game, go to join game, and paste in your address. And my address in this case is 10.9.9, sorry, point something, and then something like that, and then enter your name. Now I'm going to create a new one, just so now to conflict with the existing one. Register, and you can see we are seeing each other, right? So that is how you can very easily share it with your friend. Now, after you are done with doing this one, you can now host a dedicated server. To host a dedicated server, you just, instead of using a GUI, use the CLI. And then do luanti, and then -- server. Because we have only created a single word, it's going to automatically pick that word. And as you can see, it's automatically picking it, and we are available on the default port. Now, for others to play, they can just do the same thing, enter the address, and then put in their name, password, login, and then they can play it. Now, the main difference between a multiplayer world and a dedicated server is even if no one is inside the world is still ticking. The daylight cycle is still, cycling. So it creates this kind of persistence, and it's very nice. So that is how you do it in Windows. Notice, again, two very important things. That is the games folder and the world folder. The games folder contains game templates. The world folder contains everything related to your world, including all the data inside map.sqlite, and also the authentication thing, which is the username and the password. Just in case you are curious, let me quickly show you this one. Drag this over and browse the data. You can see we have those two, and this is not what password I enter. This is a hash, so you will not be able to see the original password. But if you want to delete the user, a very simple way is to just delete this record. I think this is the button. Yeah, and then save it. Now we have one less user. So that is all the data you have. Okay, cool. So that's how you can do it on Windows. Now let's take a look at doing it for Linux. I find the easiest way to do it on Linux is to use DigitalOcean. That way, it's it's just hassle-free compared to other cloud providers. So the first thing we are going to do is to go to create a droplet. And the droplet is DigitalOcean's way of referring to a virtual private server. You can pick your location, I'm in Toronto, and then pick your version of Linux. There are many versions of Linux. Here, I'm going to pick, by the way, they are like Windows Home, Windows Professional, Windows, other versions of Windows, just like that. And then I'm going to pick Debian, because Debian has very good support, and if you don't have any preferences, I think Debian is very good for you. And then pick your CPU. Now, this one is worth mentioning. If you pick the cheapest one, it will work, but if you have like 3 or 4 or more people, it's going to kind of struggle. I would recommend something at least having like 2 GB of memory and 2 CPUs. So it's going to be something like this range, right? For the demo purpose, we are not really using it long, so I'm just gonna pick something that look good. And here you can use your password that will allow you to easily log in. But as you can see, everyone is talking about it. This is very easy to use, but it's going to not be very secure. So instead, what you want to do is to create a SSH key. So to do that, you do new SSH key, and you can see you need to use this program. I'm not going to show you how to install this program, partly because I have already forgotten how I installed it in the first place. But after you install it, what you can do, open a terminal, and then you can see I have this program right here, right? And then you can see you don't need to type any commands, just run this one. And then it's going to ask you, where do you want to save the key file? That's the important part. You want to make sure you save it in place that you can remember. So I'm going to save it somewhere here. And notice we have space here. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure you don't put quotes, if you know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, just don't put quotes. And then say my key, and then enter it. It asks you whether you want to encrypt it further. No. And then you already have this one, right? And then that will give you two files. Both of them are just plain text file. You can open it within Notepad. And then you can see that's public key. I'm just going to put it over here. Give the name. Let's say my quick random key. And then add SSH key. And then you can see I have picked this one. Now give it a name you can remember. Let's say we call it Luanti demo. And then I'm very surprised why. Okay, anyway, never mind. Just create this one. I thought I logged into a different account. Apparently not. Okay, so here we are inside this guy. If we go inside, you can see it's being created, and then it will give you, yes, it's going to give you this IP address. This is going to be very important. Now we have this one. You can start setting things up. Let me show you the first way you can do that. So just launch the Droplet console, and then from there we are connected, and then that's a fresh installation of Debian, and you have all the cool stuff here, right? So you can, if you are familiar with Debian, you can apt-get install Minetest, or I think you can do Luanti, but don't use that version because it's not up to date. You can find the latest version by going to the documentation and set up a server, and you can see there is like a section talking about getting the latest pre-built version. So you can go here, and don't worry about the other tabs. We're going to talk about it in a bit. And then you can see, okay, there's a bunch of versions you can download, and you can see there's a tar or xzvf. So this is the version you want, and that's why I mentioned you need to use Debian, because they are built for Debian. You are going to experience less trouble if you just pick Debian in the first place. It's Debian 11. We pick Debian 13. It works perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. So download this one. After you download it, you can see I have already downloaded it here inside of my temp folder. I have actually I haven't downloaded it. Okay, let me just download it again. So I'm just going to save the link as, put it in my temp folder. And you can see this is very, very small. It's tiny. Oh, it's not showing the size here. You can see it's very, very small. So this is only 2.47 megabytes, right? Let's go back to this guy here, and now you need to upload it to your remote server. And that's why I say, you can access it from this console, but it's actually more helpful if you use something called WinSCP. That allows you to easily transfer files to the remote server. What you can do is put in the host name, which is going to be our IP address, and the root name, but we don't have password, remember? So we are going to go to advanced SSH authentication, use a key file, and here I'm going to navigate to the key we have generated, which is going to be all the key files. That is a private key, and it's going to ask you, do you want to convert to PuTTY format? It's fine, right? That's the format that recognizes it. Just do OK, and then you can say, just put it, doesn't matter, just put it somewhere. Save. OK. Now we can do OK, and then we just do login. And it's going to say, this is the unknown address. Do you trust it? Yes, we trust it. And then you see, that is our root. Now we can go to our temp. I think we can paste the address here. So what you do, paste the address here. And then you can just drag and drop. So we have this guy. Let me just create a folder here. I'm just doing new folder and do Luanti. And then inside it, I'm going to paste this archive. So I recommend you pasting the archive. So instead of, it might be easier, you think you can right click to uncompress everything and copy paste the individual files, but having an archive make it transfer faster. That's the first thing you need. But you also need two other things, which are your game data. So remember, previously on Windows, we have those two folders, right? The games and the world. Now what you need to do is to make sure this one is ready. So I'm just going to create an archive, make sure it's a zip, extract it, compress it, and then for the world, I'm going to do the same thing, create a new archive. But you don't have to do this. You only need to do this if you is it still being served? Yes, it's being served. If you already have a world and you want to use the same world data, then you want to do this. Otherwise, you can just create a new world on the server. Here, I'm just showing you how to do it. So here I have this guy. Now I can go to the where is it? The games. Drag this one over, and then we have the worlds. Drag this one over. So that is everything you need. You have the server program itself, the game template, and your world. That's everything you need. Now we can jump to the command line. Not this one, the remote one. This one is our command line. Now if we take a look, you can see we have the folder, and if we go inside the folder, we have those few files. Now we need to extract each one. Unless you do it like every day, you will not remember it, as I will not remember it. So I have this cheat sheet right here. So I mentioned download it yourself, and then there are a few things you need for entire deployment. You want unzip, so you can unzip things. You want tmux, so even if I close this window, the terminal session is still running. So in this case, I'm going to do a sudo apt-update just to update my repository list, and then do apt-get install. By the way, sudo apt install is just the same thing as apt-get install, right? So I'm just going to do unzip and also tmux. It's going to prompt, are you sure? Yes. And then it's going to do it, and then you have everything installed. Now you see we have those three files. Let's extract them one by one. The first thing you want to extract is using tar to extract the server itself. I'm just going to paste it right here, and it's going to extract it, and see we have the folder right here. And then you want to extract the other things. Actually, I was using mineclone, but in this case it's different. It's a Minetest. And then you want to extract it to somewhere inside the Luanti folder. Let me show you just in case you are confused. So here, notice what happens right now. We have extracted it. We have this folder, and it has only the bin folder containing the server. It doesn't have game. It doesn't have words. So what you need to do is to actually create games and create words folder, so it contains the essential data, right? So what we're going to do is to extract inside the games folder, and then that's going to inflate everything. And then you see now we have the Minetest game. And then we'll do the same thing to the world. In this case, it's going to be called, I think it's called myworld, right? myworld.zip, yes. And then you are going to have the world. That way, it's kind of like the exact same thing with the version we have on Windows. Now to run it, it's very straightforward. Just make sure you could right now. You could just run it right now directly. Let me see, where are we? cd luanti, and you have the bin. You have do .bin and do the server, and it's going to work, right? You can already do it, but when you close this thing, the server is also going to close. So you don't want to do it. So I'm just shutting it down. What you want to do is to create the tmux session, and then inside here you can now safely do bin, and then do something like luantiserver. It's going to pick your default server, a default world, and now it's running. Now you can detach by Ctrl+B and D. So that's a chord. So just do Ctrl+B, and without touching anything else, press a D. That will detach it. You see the terminal looks like it's closed, but it's still running behind the scene. You can go back by do tmux A, attach it back to the older one. You can see it's still running over there, right? So that way it's safe even if you close this thing. And then now you can just connect to it. So what is my IP address? So this is my IP address, and I can now open the game. Let me just open the game here. join the game, paste it right here. I need to probably register and register, and you can see, oh, name is taken. Oh yeah, name is taken because I copy paste my data, so I can just log in directly. And then you can see the exact same word as we had previously when we created locally, right? So that is how you can log in. That's pretty much how you can host it on Linux. There are, of course, a bunch of other stuff you can make things more secure, and those are all mentioned on, some of the stuff I mentioned here, protecting your server, a bunch of stuff you can do. Now, the one thing I want to talk about last is the IP address issue. If you use a dedicated server, and that's pretty much the only benefit of doing that, besides costing a lot, is you have this IP address, and that saves you a lot of trouble. You can just share this with your friend, and people will be able to just log in and play. That's very nice. On the other hand, if you host on Windows, like if you do this one, and then you do like something like this, you have this one, people will only be able to join if they are on your local server. For instance, they are living under the same roof, they are using the same Wi-Fi network, that is how they can join. If they are not living under the same roof, then if you search something like my IP address, you can see your IP address is actually looking very different from the one you can see right here, right? So that is what your public IP actually look like. And you cannot, usually, if you are using Rogers or Bell or any of that, you will not be able to just use this one to join, okay? You will not be able to join because this one is hidden from the public network. And the thing you need to do is something called port forwarding. So you need to set it up. Unfortunately, I cannot demonstrate it to you because I'm using Rogers, and Rogers is asking me to install some mobile app, and the mobile doesn't exist. And then if you find some alternatives, the mobile app is so bad it just doesn't work. So I cannot demonstrate it to you. But if you are under Bell, maybe the situation is slightly better. But generally speaking, it's a lot of trouble to try to set up a port forwarding if you are under a home network. In that case, if you just want to share with your friend, I would recommend this software, Hamachi. It only works for if you have like 4 or 5 people and it's only friends, so you can join, pretend as if it's a private network. Otherwise, you are kind of out of luck. I think you kind of have to use the dedicated server in order to share it. Except, I think there's another way you can do that. That is, if you do this, if you start a game, create a server, and you just launch the server, maybe it will work. I haven't tested it, but this way it will. You just make sure your GUI is always running. Maybe it will work. Okay, but don't quote me. But yeah, that is how you can host your own server. Hopefully this is helpful. We went through a lot. The Linux part contains a bunch of commands. I will not go through all the details, but that illustrates the overall process. And in general, let me just recap, okay? You just need to create a droplet, and then using WinSCP to upload those 3 things, the executable, the game, and if you already have a word, upload the word. And then extract it to follow this folder structure, to put the games under the games, put the words under words, and to host it, you actually only need to just do the very simple command. Just do .bing, where are we? Just do bing, okay, wait, .bing, and then that's pretty much all you need to do to host it. The rest is just setting the server up. Alright, thank you for watching.